So one of the biggest questions I'm getting asked right now over on Dawg Post is, where are the Dogs going in the secondary for the 2025 class? It's a good question, and I think I've got some good news for all of y'all wondering that same type of question. All right. Of course, got to talk about last cycle because they did sign 5-star number one cornerback Ellis Robinson, 5-star number one safety KJ Bolden, DeMello Jones, an outstanding athletic cornerback. So they've got some guys. Andre Evans is another 4-star. So it was always going to be interesting to see who they get in the secondary to want to come play behind those guys, right? And Georgia does have a lot of really talented young guys in the secondary who are eager to play. So I was always curious to see who they would end up landing. They've got one commitment right now, Todd Robinson, an explosive, speedy athlete from Valdosta, could play quarterback and running back for them, but Georgia likes him in the secondary. And I do think they are trending in the right way with several targets right now in the secondary. That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. The first guy I want to talk about is actually a South Carolina commitment who was recently in Athens for a big official visit, and that's Shamari Earls. This is a big physical cornerback prospect, around like 6'2", 205 pounds. He's not a small guy at all, but he can run. He's fundamentally sound. He's a technician. The footwork, the hips, the instincts, the hands. This guy is a really good player who I think is going to shoot up the rankings. As far as what I've been hearing about him, I don't expect him to stay at South Carolina. I think he's going to end up at either Georgia or Michigan. Those are two programs that are pushing hard for his commitment. But he's got easy SEC level size, a two-way player from Virginia. He is ranked as the number 12 cornerback prospect, the number 105 prospect in the country. And again, I think that ranking will improve. And this is a guy that I can definitely see him in Athens from what I heard over the last several days. As a wide receiver last year, dude caught 30 passes for 720 yards and 8 touchdowns. So when he had the ball, big things happened. He is a big play machine offensively. Defensively, no one really went his way. He only had 25 tackles, 2 interceptions, because he's locking down that side of his field. So he's a player on the rise who, I think Georgia's pushing for the flip here. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if it happened sooner or later, right? I don't want to give too much away, but this is a guy that was really impressed by his official visit to Georgia. Michigan's pushing hard, but right now, I think Georgia's in a really good position to flip him from South Carolina and land one of the top cornerbacks in the country. That would be a really big deal because he does have size. He runs really well for 250 pounds. And he's fluid in coverage. He knows what he's doing. He's instinctual, but he's also fundamentally sound. So the ceiling is there, the talent is there, and it's easy to see for me why Georgia is pushing for a flip. He's a really good player with outstanding ball skills and easy SEC level size. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Another guy, out-of-state kid that I think Georgia's trending for in the right direction is Rashad Johnson out of South Sumner, Florida. First, before I dig into that, because I think Georgia's got a lot of momentum there, I got to plug collegebronze.com. It's the number one Bulldog statue on the market today. Get yours so you get it for the football season. Put him out by the pool. Put him out on your front porch in your office. He's going to look good everywhere. He's the number one Bulldog statue on the market. Get your discount today. Don't miss out on the discount. Promo code DAWGPOST, DAWGPOST. You are going to want this bad boy in front of your house when football season rolls around. So get it today before everyone else. They are going to sell fast in July and August. So get yours today so you have it by the end of the summer and into the football season. All the information is in the description below in this video. Make sure you take advantage of that discount. Okay, Rashad Johnson. He's number 33 safety prospect, number 360 overall. Okay, so he's not going to have 5 stars next to his name. He's not some high 4-star kid. But he's another physically gifted, well put together safety, 6'2", 185, knows how to hit, knows how to wrap up, had 50 plus tackles last year, 1 interception, but he's strong in the run game. He took an official visit to Georgia. I believe I'm reading my story right now. It was the weekend of June 14th. He was at Texas A&M for a big official visit right after that following weekend. I think it's going to come down to one of those two schools, but he's a kid with Florida who plays with swagger, plays with confidence, can play the star role, can play the safety role, but He's rangy, he's got some length to him, and knows how to make a play. And he's really tough against the run. He can run down the ball carrier trying to get to the perimeter. He can outplay in the box. So there's a lot to like about his game. I wouldn't call him elite at necessarily any part of his game, but he's a well-rounded, decent four-star prospect that has climbed Georgia's board. They had him on campus for a reason. They impressed him. They have started to make him a priority. And I'm not saying that he was their top 1, 2, 3 guy, but things change, and sometimes you have to say, okay, maybe we didn't push for this kid early on, but now's the time. We need to get some safeties on board. We need more than one guy in the secondary, to end the summer. And this is a kid that they are impressed with. And if you're Rashad Johnson and you're picking between Georgia, Texas A&M, and a few other smaller schools, and Georgia's giving you the green light to jump on board, I think they're in a really good position to do that. Now, he originally planned to make a commitment today, July 1st, and I thought Georgia would land his commitment. But he came out and said, you know what, I'm going to do it on July 14th, I think, July 14th. So that could be a strong week for Georgia on the recruiting trail, that mid-July area. But I still think Georgia's in a really good position to land him. He's a sure tackling safety with size who's only going to get better and can cover a lot of ground and coverage in the back end. So he's a guy to keep an eye on, not super highly ranked, but a guy to know. Another guy to keep an eye on that I think Georgia has a little momentum with right now is Jaylen Morgan from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Rockville High School. He was a guy that I was told that, could be tough to get away from the in-state Tennessee Volunteers. They've got like 3 cornerbacks committed, 1 safety, or it's 2 cornerbacks and 1 safety. So they've got their share of defensive backs committed right now. And again, Georgia needs a couple guys to jump on board. That's what they would like. He was in Athens for the weekend of June 21st. So he's fresh off an official visit, really. He's got Georgia on his mind. And I had some sources tell me over the weekend, hey, Georgia's a team that's, quietly, climbing his list. And if he gets the green light to jump on board, that's another guy who could end up on Georgia's commit list. And right now in the secondary, Georgia shouldn't be turning a whole lot of guys away. I mean, just being honest. They had Tay Harris from Cedartown on board early on. He's flipped to Clemson. But Jaylen Morgan is an out-of-state kid from Tennessee, who I think Georgia is sitting in a good spot with from what I'm hearing right now. He's ranked as the number 24 safety, number 252 overall. So he's higher ranked than Rashad Johnson, who I just talked about. But out-of-state kid that knows all about Georgia and their development, for guys in the secondary at safety. It's a school a lot of defensive backs certainly look for to play at. It's just been a little tougher this year because of the haul Georgia landed in the last class. And I don't think anyone in this 25 class in the secondary is going to be in a position to play early on, because Georgia is loaded with young defensive backs who are still trying to make a name for themselves and see the field early on. So I always had a feeling that it'd be tough to ring in some 5-stars in the secondary in this 25 class, but these are still good players that you need to keep an eye on. Lagonza Hayward out of Toombs County, Lions, Georgia. That's a kid that I think Georgia's trending in the right direction too. I think he's better than the 2 safeties I talked about. He's a guy who plays, makes an impact in all 3 phases of the game. He's physically put together. He knows how to cover, knows how to hit, and he's an in-state guy. He's going to be making his decision, I believe, late July. I don't have that in my notes here, but you can read the story that I've got on these 3 targets that I think Georgia is sitting in a good position for and trending in the right direction for over on Dawg Post. So make sure you are over there reading all the insider scoop. But between Lagonza Hayward, who I think that could come down to Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. I think Tennessee was the team to beat for a while, but after his official visit to Athens in June, I think Georgia is probably the team to beat there. But Florida's coming hard, Tennessee's coming hard, and he knows that he could probably play a little earlier at those 2 schools. But we'll see what Georgia does there. At the end of the day, they're going to sign a nice class. Don't expect it to be as good as it was last year in the 24 cycle, but they'll get 4, maybe 5 guys in the secondary if that's what they want. They could just sign 4 and be perfectly fine in this class, I think. But they've got one on board, Todd Robinson, who I think has a really high ceiling once he stays in the secondary, and that's his spot. And he doesn't have to, play both ways or anything in Athens. He'll only get better there. And I think these guys too, especially if Shamari Earls does flip to Georgia, I think that's an outstanding flip. because I think his best football is clearly way ahead of him, and his ranking, I think, is going to increase as well. So that's a guy that I feel good about Georgia's chances of flipping. And then there's 2 more safeties just to keep an eye on, because one of them will be coming off the board in a couple weeks. And then Jaylen Morgan is an out-of-state guy that Georgia could go into Tennessee and land away from the Vols. So just a few guys to keep an eye on. You can read more about them over on Dawg Post. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the website.